on EWM, MM, and QM areas. So this is about myself, and would like to hear about yourself also quickly. Hope you hear me, Dharmendra and John.
Yeah, I can hear you. This is John here. I was waiting whether Dharmendra wants to go first. Okay, let me introduce myself. So this is John.
Okay,
So I've been in the industry in IT and consulting for the last 18 years.
okay,
Working for the last close to 15 years, I've been more into SAP on the data side, either on data migration, data quality, and analytics and integrations, all these different aspects other than the portfolio of functional. But now I'm getting into more of functional, playing some functional roles into PTP side. So
okay.
having some knowledge on MM and all these P2P areas. But other than that, I do have a familiar knowledge on the OTC little bit and various other parts, and I do have some experience on MDG. So that is my entire career experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
good to know. Thank you. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Dharmendra.
Okay.
Dharmendra, I think we are audible to you, right? You are on mute if you are speaking, Dharmendra. Okay, no worries. Maybe he might be away from the desk, and let me quickly share my screen and let's continue the discussion. Jahir, please allow me to share my screen.
Okay, okay. I have shared it.
Okay. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, I can see now.
Okay, okay. So here in this discussion, in this training mainly, we discuss about the SAP Extended Warehouse Management on S4HANA 2023 version. Currently in the market, S4HANA 2024. Being as a SAP expert over 18 years of experience, you know already what is SAP, what was ECC, and what is S4HANA, right? So as in the market, the current version which is going on for implementations from SAP side is 2024. And we are now going to learn on 2023 because we always prefer N minus 2 in any live projects to implement to upgrade our system. Basically, let us say currently we are working on S4 HANA 2022 version, but when we upgrade our system this year and 2025, we obviously prefer 2023 to migrate to the upgraded version. But next year we will prefer 2024. It is like N minus 2 we always prefer. So in that way, we are preferring even for our training 2023 on S4 HANA. And this training mainly will be happening on the S4 HANA embedded EWM. So let us see what is embedded EWM. What are the other deployment options for extended warehouse management in S4? So this is the history and evolution of EWM. As we know, our LEWM, which works on ECC as a native WM solution, that was introduced in 1991. and that was still going on. But until ECC, that was only the option inside ERP box. But somewhere in the mid of 2002, SAP has started developing the EWM on SCM box, which is a APO version. And they took almost 3 years and they released the first version in 2005. You can see the graph here. You can understand that. In 2005, the very first version of SAP EWM on SCM box 5.0 was released. And EWM comparatively has extensive features than our LEWM. Then in 2008, SAP has also launched material flow systems. Let us see what is material flow system. That is for automated warehouses. Most of the warehouses, mainly big warehouses, where there are high volume of operations every day and high volume of stocks in the warehouse, they would always prefer automated operations in the warehouse than manual operations, which are performed by the warehouse helpers. So let us see how that works. And then in 2015, we know that SAP has introduced next generation business suite, which is called S4HANA. But right from 2015, we don't see or we don't have embedded EWM in S4HANA. But when it comes to the next version, very next version, 2016.
This we have started the SAP S4HANA EWM demo.
Jahir, can I continue or is there anyone joined here?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay. So starting from 2016, SAP has introduced, SAP has embedded EWM into S4HANA box. So that is the second version of the S4HANA. And since then, we were only working on embedded EWM from 2016, also in 2017 also, EWM on S4HANA was available only as embedded version. But starting from 2018, SAP has introduced another version of EWM, decentralized EWM on S4HANA box, which works differently. Let us see in the next slide what is the difference between embedded EWM and decentralized EWM. Then from the 2019 on S4HANA, SAP has introduced another module called stockroom management, but that is quite equal to our LEWM, but with restricted features available in stockroom management from LEWM. In LEWM, you also have the automated solutions like material flow systems, and there are several other features like wave management. But those are now removed from the stockroom management. So stockroom management is mainly, let me put it in this way, it's a reduced version of the LEWM, because SCP's intention is to remove or to stop this support of LEWM on S4HANA box. But there are clients who are still expecting WM should be available for their business operations at least for a few more years. So SAP cannot really continue with that support, but what they did is instead of stopping complete support, they reduced the features of LEWM on S4HANA and introduced another term called stockroom management. Of course, there are some architectural changes also on stockroom management comparatively from LEWM, but from the foreground management, from the user interface, it remains same as LEWM only. A transport request creation, transport order creation, and stock integration, internal moments, outbound and inbound processes, everything remains same as LEWM. You would see only LEWM, but as it has reduced some features from LEWM, it is called as stockroom management.
What is the expansion of LEWM? I know WM is warehouse management. What is the expansion of LE?
Logistics execution.
Okay. Just to
Yeah,
be sure. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, please
yeah. No
continue.
worries, no
Sorry
worries.
to disturb you. Okay.
No. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, on ECC part, we have the WM, right? That we are calling as LEWM, logistics execution, because logistics execution is different module, as we know, where we perform shipping, transportation, and delivery
Right.
processing. The delivery processing, shipping, and transportation is called as logistics execution. But even WM on ECC is also a kind of extension to the delivery processing and shipping and
Mhm.
transportation, right? So that is
Mhm.
where we are considering WM as a component of logistics execution module,
Okay.
which is why on ECC we call it as LEWM.
Mhm. Okay.
And mostly now, any new client who are going on SAP, I mean, they might be using different version previously, but now they would like to go on the SAP. For them, we straight away propose only EWM. Either they choose embedded EWM or decentralized EWM, whatever the deployment option could be. But ultimately, we propose them to go with the EWM, not with LEWM or stockroom management. So now, so we are discussing about two terms mainly, right? Decentralized EWM and embedded EWM. What is the difference? Embedded EWM, as I told you previously, it was on the APO box, SCM box. So, which is a different box altogether. It was not into your ECC. So, whatever the data you create, master data you create in the ECC should be SIF. We have the core interface there. So, SIF technique. Using that SIF technique, SIF interface, we need to transfer the master data from your ECC to SCM box. And also you need to transfer your transactional data, which is done by the TRFC, QRFC. We have the QRFC interface, I think you know, but if you don't know, don't worry. I'll explain you how that works. But the transactional data is transferred between ERP system and EWM system using QRFC techniques, and master data was transferred using SIF technique. That was an SCM box. But when it comes to EWM, we have these two deployment options on S4HANA EWM. On S4HANA, if you use embedded, so look at this box, the last box, which is on right side. This is embedded EWM on S4HANA. So SAP has integrated or embedded the previous version of SCM EWM into S4HANA completely. And along with your module, SD module, or any other logistics modules plus finance modules, you also will have the EWM on the same server. You don't need to have two different servers, one for logistics operations and one for EWM operations. When you use embedded EWM, you will only have one box. You will perform all the actions inside one box. And whatever the master data you create, for example, material master or business partner, all will be available by default for all the modules. There is no need of transferring. But when it comes to transactional data, mainly deliveries, inbound delivery and outbound delivery, you still need to distribute this from your S4 HANA system to EWM system. That is to avoid some system performance issues. SAP has still kept that as a embedded package rather than integrating it completely into your S4 HANA. There are several reasons. One is system performance issue, and another one is SAP is keep introducing new features not only for EWM on S4HANA, right? They are keep introducing new features for every single module. So in that way, it is very difficult now to completely remove the QRFC. But SAP has a plan of removing the QRFC for embedded EWM in future. Maybe they will soon announce, maybe in a couple of years, they will soon announce that EWM is completely integrated. There is no QRFC also required, but that is still for future. But in the current scenario, you don't need to transfer master data, but you still need to transfer the transactional data. I mean, inbound deliveries and outbound deliveries, even if you work with embedded EWM. And when it comes to decentralized EWM, unlike embedded, you will have two different boxes still. That means how you used to work with ECC for all logistics modules plus finance modules in one box in ECC, and for EWM, you used to use SCM box. Similarly, here, the version would be different. It is S4HANA, not the SCM, but when you activate decentralized EWM, you will only have one single module, which is EWM on the decentralized S4 system. And that will be integrated or interfaced with your actual ECC or S4HANA systems. If you see here, under decentralized EWM box, I kept two deployment options. The first one you see, decentralized EWM connected to ECC, means you are working or you activated your decentralized EWM on S4HANA box, but still you connected that with your old ECC landscape. Means all logistics operations except stock management are still performed in your ECC, but for EWM, you will use S4HANA decentralized system with an interface. Of course, that's a standard plugin. You don't need to really worry about the interface. As S4HANA decentralized EWM is a native SAP tool, it's a simple plugin with RFC connection. You don't use any middleware systems. Similarly, decentralized EWM on S4HANA system. So you use all your logistics modules like MMSD, PPQM, everything in one box. Only EWM you use different box, which is decentralized EWM on S4HANA. So this is how the architecture of decentralized EWM, which can be connected to your native S4HANA or your old ECC box, and embedded EWM, which is natively available on your S4 logistics box. So you able to understand what this architecture, or any questions here?
Yeah, I understand, at least at a big picture and a high level.
Yeah.
Yeah, only one question, right? Decentralized S4HANA and a decentralized ECC, they both need integration, right? They both need integration, but you are saying only transactional data is needed for S4HANA.
No, in embedded EWM, you still need to transfer the transactional data, which is inbound
Transaction.
delivery
Oh,
and
okay.
outbound
The
delivery.
other case, both master data and transaction. Okay.
Yeah. In the decentralized EWM, you need to transfer both. Master data,
Okay.
you transfer using IDAC technique. Transactional data, still it is QRFC technique. But you don't require any middleware here because both will be connected natively through RFC.
RFC. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple
Okay.
RFC connection. You don't require any middle layer here. When it
Okay.
comes to
Okay.
embedded, it is natively available on S4HANA system, and master
Mm-hmm.
data transfers are not required. Whatever you create from the business
Mm-hmm.
partner or customer master, vendor master, and material master, they will all be available by default for all the modules, including
It's
EWM.
the same
Yeah,
box. Okay. Mm-hmm.
same work.
Okay.
But delivery, you still need to transfer. And how
Okay.
to transfer that? Let us see.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then I'm proceeding further. So here you see, I told you right, EWM on embedded and EWM on S4HANA. I mean, embedded EWM on S4HANA and decentralized EWM on S4HANA, which is connected to both S4HANA box and ECC box in the previous slide. Now here, I just expanded that explanation. If you see plant 0001, and it has 8 storage locations, and this plant 0001 is on your S4HANA system. Plant 0002 is also your S4HANA system. But plant 0003 is on your ECC. So you have two different logistics boxes here. S4HANA is being used for one business unit, let us say in your company, and ECC is still used for the different entity. You have different business units in your business in your company. One unit is using still ECC landscape, and one unit already migrated to S4HANA. But both of these units requiring, or they are using warehouse operations, and almost process remains same between both the companies or both the entities. So it means you can consider one template solution for both of them from the EWM end. So in that way, if you implement embedded EWM for S4HANA, that embedded EWM cannot be used for the ECC because ECC doesn't have the option of embedded EWM because they both are two different boxes. In that way, as a EWM consultant or architect, what you need to propose them is, as the EWM operations or the process remains same, we can implement one template solution for you in decentralized warehouse management system. And both of your systems will be connected to that one system. In that way, we can reduce the maintenance cost in the future. But other than this decentralized EWM, if you are okay to implement the embedded EWM for S4HANA and still decentralized EWM for ECC because it doesn't have the EWM solution here, then the maintenance cost would be increased in the future, right? Whatever the solution you implement within embedded EWM for S4HANA, they also, your system integrator should implement the same solution for ECC also. Means it is double work and you are spending double budget. So to reduce that maintenance cost, as a consultant, you would propose them to go with one single box, which is decentralized EWM system. So in that way, you would reduce the maintenance cost. That is one thing. And one more thing is that you would also reduce the system performance issues. When you use the EWM system, if your warehouse is very small, then there's no issue. You don't see mostly performance issues, but your warehouse is big and there are too much of automation work going on, like material flow systems. You're using warehouse robotics. Also, you're using conveyor belts, for which you will have plenty of transactions being created every day. Of course, every hour also. So in that way, system performance would be decreased because the workload is getting increased on the system due to the warehouse automations. So system will be obviously slowing down for the other modules also, like order management, procurement, everywhere. To avoid that, to keep the system clean and healthy, you would still recommend to go with the decentralized S4HANA system to implement your EWM solutions there. So these are the main reasons. Of course, there are several other reasons which you would understand when we discuss or when we configure the system and test the scenarios for several business processes. But at high level, why do we need to propose decentralized EWM system on S4HANA? These are the main reasons. One is performance issue and another one is maintenance reasons. Any questions here? If not, let's proceed. And S4HANA EWM licensing.
Just one question. Sorry, Sriman.
Yeah,
So the
no worries.
decentralized S4HANA EWM, can it integrate with the ECC? Can we able to integrate with the ECC?
Yeah, we able to interface with ECC. That is what I have shown here. If you see, this is the ECC box, plant 203.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And you have the story location 1 is connected to decentralized EWM here. So from ECC box, one plant connected to decentralized EWM. This is the EWM box. And this big box is the S4HANA box. And this second box is the ECC box.
ECC. So ECC to S4 integration, okay, through the decentralized. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I see that two boxes, I got confused. That's why I put that question to see if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ECC story location 1 of plant 3 connected to decentralized EWM and S4HANA story location 2 of plant 2 is connected to decentralized EWM. Means one plant from S4HANA system and one plant from ECC system are connected to same EWM system because they both have the same kind of warehouse operations, same model. Of course, doesn't matter if they have different models also. It really doesn't matter. We can still integrate them to one single decentralized EWM and S4HANA box. And one story location inside S4HANA, still they are using embedded option. So see, still, even when we have the decentralized EWM connected to your S4HANA system, if you want, you can still make use of your embedded EWM. For one plant, you are using embedded. For another plant, you are using EWM. For example, in your S4HANA
So is
box
it at the
currently,
plant level or is it at the storage location level? Because you mentioned up to the storage location, right?
yes, up to store allocation, because store allocation is the low level organization element to connect to the WM, right? Not only EWM,
Mm.
even in your ECC WM also, LEWM.
Yeah. Yeah.
So low level org element to connect to warehouse is always storage location. Yeah,
Yeah.
even within the plant also, if you had two storage locations, for one storage location, you can still use embedded. For another storage location, you can go with decentralized EWM, but that doesn't make any sense. When it is one plant, we
One
normally
plan
don't see
normally go for one storage location. I mean, one approach. Okay.
one approach only. Yeah. But just to show you technical feasibilities, how EWM works, how technically
Mm.
EWM supports your deployment approaches, I just made it like this.
Okay.
Technically, it is
Okay.
feasible, but from the business point of view, it doesn't make any sense because
Mm.
you would need to have two different licenses. For one storage
Correct.
location, you are using embedded EWM, you need to spend licensing costs there. And for other storage
Mm.
location, you are going with decentralized EWM. And that also forces you to go with the additional licensing
Yeah.
and two different maintenance, a double maintenance
Correct. Correct.
cost.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yeah. And yes, here normally although EWM is now natively available on S4HANA system, still it requires you to spend additional licensing cost. You cannot really use EWM by default. Basic There are basic features which you can use along with your existing S4HANA licensing, which are highlighted here in the green box, green circle. If you see basic warehouse management, inventory management, including handling units, inbound processes, including deconsolidation, outbound processes, which are dealing with the customer deliveries, internal warehouse movements like replenishment, physical inventory, store to store transfer or bin to bin transfer, then standard reporting, resource management, and forklift guidance system. Integration into production means EWMPP integration and quality management integration, which is basic version. Then IDAC integration to the third parties, just IDAC integration. All these features are by default available with your existing S4HANA licensing. You don't need to spend additional licensing. Normally for small warehouses, these could be enough and we don't need to go with the additional or advanced licensing option. But for big warehouses, although you use embedded EWM, which is natively available on your S4HANA logistics system, you would still need to spend additional licensing cost on these options. Solution is you need to remember one thing. These configuration nodes are already available in your S4HANA system. But as they are available, you cannot simply use them. You still need to discuss that with SAP, and SAP would ask you to pay additional licensing amount, and you need to pay that. Only then you will be able to use this. Otherwise, it becomes audit compliance when SAP reviews your system for every quarter. If they review and they see any feature that you are using without paying additional licensing cost, then they will almost give you a penalty of 2 times of your licensing cost. Normally, companies do not take that risk. They will always be transparent and discuss with SAP. So advanced licensing features in EWM, which require you to pay additional advance amount, is one is decentralized EWM. If it is embedded EWM, you don't need to pay any additional cost for the basic versions. But if it is decentralized, of course, you need to pay separate licensing amount for the different box, because decentralized EWM altogether it comes in a different S4HANA box. It is not available on your native logistics system. Then material flow system. What is material flow system? Let us see that. I don't want to confuse you at this moment. I'll show you how that works in the next slide. Then inventory optimization through slotting and rearrangement. Then transportation unit and vehicles. What is transportation unit and vehicles? In your ECC system, you have the shipping and transportation module, right? Which comes with SD components. That shipping and transportation is going to be suspended by 2030. Of course, they already stopped the additional developments in S4HANA, and SAP will not continue their support after 2025. But still, those modules are available as many of the clients are using. But after 2030, completely support will be revoked from SAP and on those modules. And the replacement for that is transportation management, which is also a new module of S4HANA. Of course, it is already available since several years, like EWM. But as shipping and transportation on ECC is going to be suspended, most of the clients are now being transported, are being migrated their existing shipping activities onto transportation management in S4HANA system. So even those features, transportation unit and vehicle, that is mainly comes into shipping and receiving module. Let us discuss about that. Even that is not available with basic version. You need to go with additional licensing, advanced licensing, then concatenation planning, cross-docking, optimized outbound processes via wave management and transportation units. Wave management is nothing new here. It also exists in ECC, LEWM, but it has simplified version here. In your ECC, you see wave management as a complicated solution, whereas in EWM, SAP has simplified it. So it will be interesting to you. And then yard management and slotting, dock appointment scheduling. So with ECC, previously you don't have ad management in WM solution, where you need to, wherever you require that ad management solution, you have to go to yard logistics. But of course, it's tiny, but still SAP has introduced this solution, yard management within EWM. Not on just S4HANA, it was available since SCM box. Then warehouse zones for advanced interleaving, labor management, then management of work in process materials, distribution equipments, just-in-time production supply, which is indeed a part of EWMPP integration. Let us see that how that works. And then kitting process, value-added services, kit to order and kit to stock. Kitting process is available also on a logistics system outside EWM, but only for the retail systems where you activate industry-specific components like IS retail. But if you don't use IS retail, then you don't see kitting process available on your regular SD and MM modules. Kitting process is only available on with MM and SD modules when you use IS retail system. But without IS retail system, you don't have kitting process available on your logistics system. You need to use only EWM system for kitting. So we will discuss all these topics during our training, and you would understand the difference between basic warehouse management and advanced warehouse management, how that works also. And you would understand differences for each and every topic between decentralized EWM and embedded EWM. So if you have any questions here, let us discuss. Otherwise, I will just show you how our warehouse operations look like. Any questions? Okay. So this is how our warehouses will look like. So you can see here, we have two rows here. This is one line of rack and this is one line of rack. And in each rack, you can see you have columns. This column is called as stack and this row is called as, from this end to this end, this row is called as, I'm sorry, level. So row is nothing but level and this column is nothing but stack in our warehouse terminology, EWM terminology. You need to understand this terminology, what is stack and what is level in the racking. Stack is nothing but this vertical line of rack, and level is nothing but this horizontal line of the rack. And we have another third term which is called aisle. Aisle is nothing but the space. This empty space between two racks is called aisle. So stack, level, and aisle. Using these three factors, you also need to decide your bin structure in the warehouse. When you create the bins and when you work on the mainly put away strategies during inbound to put the stock into final bin, and during picking strategy to pick the stock out of the bin for customer deliveries. During these processes, those three factors will play a crucial role to decide the path direction, whether you need to travel between two racks from ascending order or in descending order. I mean, come from that end to this end or go from this end to that end. So all, sorry, any question? Okay. So just remember these three terms: stack, level, and aisle. Then you see here, we have the forklifts, right? These forklifts are mainly used to move stocks from one location to another location in warehouse. These are widely used in any warehouse by default because manual operations are normally prohibited in the warehouses due to safety reasons. So this is how warehouse operator operates the forklift to pick the stock or to keep the stock into the racks, you see. So he is now picking the stock, or let us assume he is putting the stock there away. And he is also using the mounted device of RF. This is like iPad or your tab, but this has the screen of radio frequency. So using that, he will identify where stock needs to be placed or from where stock needs to be removed for deliveries. Here in this picture, although it is showing as the device is available in his hands, normally it is mounted on the stacker only here. I mean, this machine is called also as stacker or forklift. This is a mounted device on the forklift somewhere. And this is one device which is called RF device, radio frequency. They will scan the HO's handling units. Handling unit is nothing but the packaging item, your carton boxes or drums, whatever it is. Handling unit basically meant it's a packaging item in which you keep the stock. So you use these handheld devices, RF devices, to scan your material. And why to scan? And when you scan it, how that is reflected into your SAP. Let us see that on the topic of radio frequency framework. So all these devices are called as resources. So we have a concept called resource management in EWM and how to create all these resources. These are all available warehouse resources. How we make use when we go to big warehouses. So forklift is used to pick and put the stocks into the racks, and these radio frequency handheld devices are used to scan your boxes or handling units. So then we have few automation topics. Of course, I don't want to confuse you at this moment with in detail discussions, but I just would like to give you some heads up how automation works in the warehouse. I told you few topics when we discussed about the advanced licensing and basic licensing, right? One topic called material flow system, which is MFS. If you go back to the previous slide, here you have one topic called integrated material flow system, which is MFS. MFS is nothing but the material flow system, and how the material flows throughout the warehouse is simply like this. You have these conveyor belts. So this conveyor belt is connected to your warehouse door. When you unload something from your truck, they will keep that material onto the conveyor belt. Then that conveyor belt keeps flowing throughout the warehouse, and it keeps sending the boxes like this. All these automations are handled inside MFS. Then we have these devices also. These devices are also a kind of conveyor belts, but these conveyor belts are being used since several years in the warehouses. But with recent technologies of AI and robotics, these robotic devices are also being introduced in many of the warehouses, mainly big warehouses like Caterpillar, Robot Bosch. There are mechanical warehouses who have very, very big warehouses, almost in 100 acres or 200 acres. And it's very difficult for them to depend on particular human technologies, like who drives these forklifts. To drive this forklift, you need still human being to drive this. But if you go with these robotic tools, then you can reduce the dependence on the human beings. So these robotics tools will come to the door, and you will just give them the information to which rack this needs to be kept, or to which area, like packaging area, deconsolidation area, this box needs to go. Then this tool will automatically take this box to that particular area which you defined and instructed this tool. Let us discuss how all these automations will work in your warehouse and how EWM supports all them. Similarly, if you see, conveyor belt is taking some boxes here, and this robotic device is picking and putting on these tools, automated tools which are running throughout your warehouse. So this box is then removed from the conveyor belt from here, and it is kept here. Then it goes to the warehouse. So then we have few AI technologies also, which are being introduced by other tools like Gibronics and Blue Yonder. Then we will discuss how those AI technologies are supported by your EWM also. So then let me just quickly show you on the SAP also how EWM is integrated into S4HANA system. This is S4HANA system with 2023 version. I'm just logging in using my trainer user ID. So in S4HANA, as we know, the SPRO has a simplified version of transaction SIMG. So if I use the SIMG, I'll directly come to the IMG path, and you have all your modules, all your configuration nodes for sales and distribution here, for materials management here, then logistics execution. Similarly, you have SCM extended warehouse management, which was used only on the SCM EWM on APO server previously, but now it is embedded into your S4HANA system. And under SCM EWM, you have two nodes again: extended warehouse management, which is completely functional, which has to be taken care by functional teams, and then SCM basis, which has all the components of interface between EWM system and your logistics system. So before going in depth here, let me just get a brief overview. Although it is integrated inside your EWM, you still need to make, when it comes to the system setup, you still need to configure MMR structure for availability of company code, plant, store allocation, everything inside your logistics system. Second thing, you have to configure SDR structure. Once this is available, then third thing is you still need to create ECC warehouse Even when you use the EWM, whether it is embedded EWM or decentralized EWM, you still need to create the warehouse within ECC. But you don't create or you don't set up it fully as functional, but you just need to create that 3-digit warehouse in the ECC just to connect your plant, ECC plant and store allocation to the EWM warehouse. It is still a connecting factor. For that reason, you still need to create the ECC warehouse. Once it is created and assigned to plant and store allocation. Inside S4HANA or ECC, whatever it is. If you use S4HANA, inside S4HANA system, you create ECC warehouse and assign it to plant and store allocation. Then the fourth thing is that create EWM warehouse. So these basic things let us see and let us try to understand why still ECC warehouse to be created and why it is used to connect ECC plant and store allocation to EWM warehouse. The main reason for that is, before discussing anything here, let me just quickly go to integration with other SAP components. Here, this integration with other SAP components is done in your ECC box. Just remember, this is always by EWM guy as on current solution of EWM available. This is only used inside your S4HANA system or ECC system, mainly logistics system, not in the EWM system. Of course, if it is embedded EWM you use, then it would be same box. You come here, then you have extended warehouse management here and basic settings for EWM linkage. Here you have one node called configure SAP EWM specific parameters. So this configure SAP EWM specific parameters is mainly done for your ECC warehouse, which is used to connect your EWM to, your warehouse, your ECC plant and store allocation to your EWM warehouse. For example, we have one warehouse called HWM. So here you decide, you create your ECCWM still, but if your ECCWM is relevant to EWM, you come here and you activate this indicator. If this field is activated or updated as EWM, then this warehouse, although this is ECC warehouse, this is relevant to EWM. But if you don't activate this, you will still keep it is like this, local WM. Then it is your ECC LEWM. So for this reason, immediately after having your warehouse created in ECC or S4HANA, you immediately need to come here and update the value as EWM. Then this warehouse becomes EWM relevant. Once it became EWM relevant, then the next indicator you activate here is distribution mode. See here you have two options. One is distribution immediately at document creation. Then stop distribution. The difference between these two is, normally, as I told you, when you have the outbound delivery for sales order or inbound delivery for purchase order created. Before going there also, one thing I would like to make you clear. So without EWM, when you create purchase order, you would still use MyGo transaction to post the goods received, right? Against with the purchase order. You open the MyGo, once the purchase order is fully released by all the approvals and the stock came to your location physically, you go to the MyGo transaction. Warehouse clerk goes to the MyGo transaction and he posts the PO, good receipt for the PO directly from MyGo. But when you have the EWM activated, you cannot post goods receipt against with the PO. Of course, we have a concept called synchronized goods receipt, through which you can still post goods receipt against with PO, but it has very limited features. You cannot really use it if your warehouse is big. Let us discuss the difference between synchronized and asynchronized goods receipts. But I don't want to confuse you at this moment unless we configure the system and unless we test the system. Let us start that when we really starting our system setup fully for our training session. But as of now, just try to understand this. So when your warehouse, which is relevant to EWM, is having this indicator updated as distribution immediately, as I told you, inbound delivery and outbound delivery needs to be distributed from your logistics system to EWM system. For that reason, if you keep stop distribution, system will not distribute the document immediately. You will just create the delivery, outbound delivery or inbound delivery. Then you need to execute another transaction which is called VL06I for inbound deliveries and VL06 for outbound deliveries. Let me show you those transactions also. VL06I. This is for inbound delivery. Here you have one option called for distribution. You will get into this option. You would give your delivery, outbound delivery, which you just created using the transaction VL31N. You give it here, you execute it here, then you click on the distribute. Then that will be distributed from your logistics system to EWM system. And that delivery will become available in your EWM system for further operations. Similarly, for outbound delivery, you have transaction called VL06O for distribution. Input your delivery. Click on the expanded version. Then you will input the delivery number here. Then you will execute it here. Normally in a live system, in any business, we create the background jobs for these transactions on certain intervals. So those background jobs will take care of the distribution later. But if you don't want this, you don't want document to be distributed manually or by the background job. You rather would like your document, delivery document to be distributed immediately upon the document creation in the system. Then in that case, you need to choose the different option. I mean, this one, distribute immediately. If you choose distribute immediately for your warehouse, delivery document is immediately distributed when you create it. If you choose stop distribution, then you need to transfer it manually. It will not be immediately transferred. You need to transfer it either manually or by using the background job. Then you have another indicator, UD, usage decision, which is mainly used for the quality management. For example, after taking care of or after performing any quality inspection related activities on the received product, to approve the quality or to reject the quality, you need to make a decision, which is called usage decision. That decision tells you whether the stock can be used in your plant or it should be returned back to the vendor. That usage decision, if you activate this indicator, it will be driven from the EWM. You cannot work through your classic quality management in your logistics system. If you don't activate this, you can work it either from EWM or from your logistics system. I mean, your old quality management system. But if you activate this, your quality management, old quality management cannot be executed for the usage decision. It is always through EWM. So this indicator drives usage decision for the quality management. Then you have the batch determination indicator. So normally when you create the delivery or when you post the goods moment, batches are determined in your logistics system, for example, in your ECC or S4HANA. But when you have the EWM and this indicator is activated, then batch is always determined from the EWM system. Batch determination cannot happen from the logistics systems. Of course, if required, you can still manually input the batch in your logistics delivery, inbound delivery or outbound delivery. The system will not stop you. But automation or automatic determination will happen only from EWM. If you don't manually input the batch in your ERP delivery and GR from EWM. This indicator is introduced starting from S4HANA 2020. As I told you a few minutes ago, we have a concept called synchronized goods moment, which is introduced from S4HANA 2020 version. So if you activate this indicator, GR is always expected from EWM. If you don't activate, you can also post the GR inside your S4HANA system. But this indicator is only available for embedded EWM. I mean, you can post goods receipt. Even with EWM, you can post goods receipt from S4HANA using MyGo transaction, but that option is only available on S4HANA embedded EWM system. If you use decentralized EWM, this option is not available for you. With decentralized EWM, GR is always expected from EWM system only. You cannot post the GR in your logistics system. And let us see how that works. But although it is available on embedded EWM, most of the clients are not interested really using this when you use big warehouses. Because with MyGo, final bin will be directly determined in the MyGo. So when it is happening, you cannot really work with other operations like quality management, because the stock is going to final bin directly. And you cannot also work with the decentralized or value added services. All those will be skipped, or at least those will not be recorded in the system, but you work on them physically offline outside the system. But you cannot record any of those transactions in your system. That is it disadvantage with the synchronized goods moment at the moment. Maybe in future we can expect SAP to give more features even with the synchronized goods moment. But as of now, with the current available versions of S4HANA until 2024 also, we cannot really work with all the warehouse transactions when you activate synchronized goods moment. So that is how it works. You need to configure your system in this way. And when you have this, as I told you, this 3-digit code is still your ECC warehouse. Let me just go back one more step. Your enterprise structure. You have enterprise structure and you have definition. Under logistics execution, you will define your warehouse here, right? So you define whatever the warehouse in your ECC box or S4HANA box that becomes available there and then under the node what we have seen now. But after that, you would still need to assign it to your warehouse, which is EWM warehouse, and that assignment is done here. So this is your ECC warehouse, and this is connected to the EWM warehouse. And this EWM warehouse, although we assign it here in your S4HANA box, still this is configured in EWM under the EWM nodes separately. And let us discuss all that configurations, how the EWM warehouse is configured and how that is assigned, and how the document types for each delivery, inbound delivery and outbound delivery, are configured in the system. So that's it from my end in today's session. If you have any questions, happy to help you, happy to answer you. Hello.
Yeah, Sriman. I mean, I have one. I mean, you just showed that warehouse, right? Warehouse and storage location, all this arch structure. Do we need to set up separately in both EWM and ECC?
Yes.
Or, right? Yes, right. I mean, that's what I
Yes.
am seeing it. Okay.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
still need to configure it, because as I told you, let me share my screen once again to answer this question in a bit detailed way. Do you see my screen? Hello.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Sorry. I'm
Yeah. For
talking in
better
mute. Okay.
understanding, let me open any one available delivery here. PL33N. I'm trying to open any random delivery. Under the stock placement. If you see, you still have the warehouse right here. This is the
Yes.
ECC warehouse. This warehouse is available even with your LEWM.
Okay.
Even when you don't use your WM also, even with your LEWM, this warehouse number in the delivery is available here. And
Okay.
without inventing a new technology, SAP just try to make use of this existing feature. Still, they determine your ECC warehouse. But once in your delivery, this warehouse is available here, HWM, then they will pick the EWM relevant warehouse. For that HWM, the EWM relevant warehouse is this one,
Oh,
HEWM.
HEWM. Okay. Okay.
So when your delivery goes to your EWM system from S4HANA, then system identifies what is the right EWM warehouse for that. Because in your EWM system, there might be different warehouses. Let us say there are 4 warehouses, out of which this delivery needs to be integrated in, and which warehouse team this delivery needs to start working with. For that reason, ECC still SAP requires this assignment between your ERP warehouse, old LEWM warehouse and EWM warehouse. With this assignment and from this update, SAP would be able to correctly integrate your delivery into the right warehouse in the EWM. Once this delivery becomes available for within the right warehouse in your EWM system, then warehouse team will take actions to work on further activities like put away, deconsolidation, and other activities like quality management, value added services. So this is very important to understand how this assignment works, but it is not so difficult also. This is important, but not difficult. Any other questions?
Viman, so you can just check with them the timing, availability timing, and their interest for course enrollment.
Sure, Jahir.
So
So I'm done for the day. So maybe you can discuss with Jahir on the further parts like fees. Fees for this training session would be like 500 USDs. And for further discussions, you can still directly approach Jahir on that, and he's available for you. And the course duration would be 60 hours.
and we will provide you server access for 3 months. Okay. So please let me know your availability timing and the interest for the enrollment, so I can share with you all detail.
Yeah, sure. I will get back to you. We'll talk offline. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, John. And what about that Krishna, Ishwar, and Cesar Shri? Okay. Shri, are you there? Cesar Shri, Krishna Chandra Shah, are you looking for? Hello guys, could you hear me? Okay, Shivan, we'll close for today.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.